Hello everybody and welcome to another morning of Good Morning Sri Lanka right here on MTV Sports. I am Wasam, your host for the morning. Now, it's just been a couple of weeks since the whole world was on toes when Argentina was facing Germany. And of course here in Sri Lanka, let's face it, a lot of people have been cynical about the fact of whether, do we actually have football fans or were they just cheering just for the hype and the craze. But MTV Sports have now started to realize really recently that there have been initiatives that have been around Sri Lanka, initiatives that are actually finding out that there are a lot of people who are actually really interested in the sport. And the initiative has also found a lot of people who are really good at it. And to talk about this initiative, we have two very special gentlemen in the studio with me. And we have Charit Dichikera, who's the head of brand communications at Airtel Sri Lanka. And we also have Sanjula Thilan, who is a student of St. Joseph's College. Good morning to both of you.
Morning,
and thank you for being with us this morning on the show.
Yeah.
Now, Charit, the initiative which I was talking about is called Airtel Rising Stars.
That's right.
If you could give us a little background to what Airtel Rising Stars is about.
So Airtel Rising Stars is a program which is run in partnership with Manchester United, Airtel and the Football Federation of Sri Lanka. It's essentially a soccer talent hunt for Sri Lanka's best under 18 soccer talent. The format is in such a way where we have two stages. The first stage is where we actually take the show on the road. We've been to 14 centres across Sri Lanka, starting in Jaffna. We've travelled across the country to Anuradhapura, to Trinco, down the east coast, Ampara, Kinya, Matara, centre of the country, Kandy, Matale, Colombo, Negombo. So we've done a round across Sri Lanka, and this year we've had about 10,000 kids under 18 applying for the soccer trials.
So this, I'm going to stop you there, sorry, Charlie. So these 10,000 kids are all from all around the country, right?
They're from all around the country. They're from all walks of life. Some of them are in school. Some of them already play soccer. Some of them have never played soccer at all. But I'm sure you'll agree, if you have any interest in soccer, a chance to go to Manchester United is your dream for anyone who's kicked that football around. And it's essentially what we're offering for 12 kids. A chance of a lifetime to go to Manchester United and train at their soccer academy, which is you will train under the tutelage of Manchester United coaches. You also get to do classroom sessions with some of their legends. Last year's lot that went actually got to meet Alex Ferguson. They got to meet Rio Ferdinand. I think they met about 12 players. They got to ask them questions about football. They did sessions with these guys. So it was a huge deal for these kids who were under the tutelage of some of the best coaches in the world, and for them to come back. So 12 out of 10,000 kids get this chance. But I have to say, while those 12 kids experience, if not the pinnacle of their soccer careers, the other kids who took part in it also fall into various soccer programs. That's why we have the Football Federation with us along the way. So it's essentially a soccer talent hunt. It's also a great advertisement for the sport in Sri Lanka, where we're trying to look at a recruitment drive for the sport as well.
I see. Well, coming to you, Sanjul, now, as Charit said, Manchester United is a big deal. Now, as someone who plays the sport, and you're still in school, and you have been selected from all those kids, you have been selected to be sent abroad into the international arena to associate with Manchester United, and that must feel great. Now, according to you, how big of a deal is Manchester United?
Actually, for me, it was a dream. Actually, never thought that we will get a chance to go there. So I would really thankful to Airtel company regarding this. So I can proudly say that I'm a rising star now. Because of them, I have been a star in Sri Lanka. So I'm really happy about that.
I see. If you could just tell us a little bit about yourself, Sanjula.
Well, I'm Sanjula Thilan and I'm still schooling. I'm a proud Josephian, and I'm sitting for the A-level examinations on this coming August. And I've been represented the national football team since when I was under 13. And currently I'm playing for Ratnam Sports Club.
I see. And I'm sure you must have been pretty engaged with the recent World Cup.
Yeah, Obviously.
Who were you rooting for? Argentina or Germany?
Brazil.
Brazil. Oh, that was a shameful defeat.
Yeah, that was a disaster.
But Charit, you're a sportsman yourself. I'm sure you would have a few comments about that.
Yeah, I think, playing at home, while it has its advantages, also has its disadvantages. I mean, there was tremendous pressure on that team. Essentially, who were a younger Brazilian team. They had a lot of experienced hands they didn't bring in. And I think they found it tough. They came up against some teams that were pretty good as well.
I mean, it's not just Germany. I mean, they didn't play very well with Netherlands either.
They didn't. On the flip side, though, Germany was ranked the number 1 team going into the World Cup. Argentina was ranked number 2, and they met in the finals, which was only fair. I think Netherlands, I'm not sure the ranking, but they're 3 or 4. So those 3 teams were the form teams into the tournament. I think that showed through the group stages and even the finals. Brazil didn't have a great year leading up to the World Cup, and I'm afraid just didn't have that extra step to take it to the final.
All right.
They had some issues before the semi-finals, the Brazilians.
Yeah,
regarding this Neymar and Thiago Silva.
Yeah, well, those things happen, don't they? Well, actually, interesting point which I want to ask you. Now, at the start of the show, I told you, I told our viewers also that, let's face it, there were a lot of cynicism around Sri Lanka and a lot of people, I mean, as soon as a World Cup match was on, there's so many updates on Facebook. There was the party which had so many updates and the other party who were disgruntled about the updates. And people were thinking like, you don't play soccer, you were never a fan, we don't have soccer here in Sri Lanka. What's wrong with you? Why are you in this craze? Any comment on that?
Well, I think you have to realize that the Football World Cup is the biggest sporting event. I think it's bigger than the Olympics in terms of viewership in the world. And all the pageantry and entertainment and the celebrities, the players themselves, but the fans who are celebrities, it just adds to this. And you just get drawn in, and staging it in an exotic place like Brazil just added to everything. And I think that's what sucks people into this whole euphoria around the World Cup. There was a great anticipation to the build-up, a lot of speculation, because I think this World Cup was pretty open. There weren't really favourites going into it.
Except for Sanjula, who's rooting for Brazil.
I think that's what it is. It draws people in. Even if you're not a player, you automatically become a fan of the whole spectacle.
I see. And coming back to the ARS, the Rising Stars. Now, like you said, you found 10,000 kids who applied for this event. Did you ever imagine that there would be so many people who would be interested in the sport here in Sri Lanka?
Yeah, let's make no bones about it. Cricket is the most popular sport in the country. However, our experience over last year as well as this year's program was that if you look at the number of players, the number of kids playing the sport of football in schools, outside schools, I think they're, if not equal, even more so than the number of kids playing cricket. I remember the first year we launched this program, the first center we went to was in Dorayappa in Jaffna. We got there a couple of days early, everything was set up, and went to the grounds early morning. I think the tournament or the trials were scheduled at about 9. We were there from about 6 o'clock. And it's like very murky and the sun is still not up, and there was this nervous sense of how many people are going to turn up.
All right.
And then at about 8 o'clock, this massive bus pulls up and the doors open, and we're now waiting, and kids start getting out of it. And I'll never forget this. It made my hair stand on end.
Wow, goosebumps.
Yeah, there were some kids, who had obviously had some injuries owing to like landmines, so their legs were not fully formed. Some of them had, injuries on their arms. Now these kids have just turned up for this trial, and that just told us, how much this meant to the kids to actually come to these trials and have a go. I think last year we had about 6,000 applicants.
Yeah.
This year we had 10,000. And when you see that, it's working.
You know that it's working. Well, it's definitely a great opportunity indeed. Now, Sanjula, I know you like your sports, but I'm sure you like music as well.
Yeah, kind of.
Are you a fan of the Imagine Dragons by any chance?
Sorry?
Imagine Dragons. Are you a fan of Imagine Dragons?
I have no idea.
My producer is going to be really upset with that because he's going to play Imagine Dragons for us on the show right now, and then we're going to go in for a short commercial break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.